Live from New York. It's the show that needs a big game from Zion tonight.
Well, 1/3 of it does. This guy.
I'm saying for the NBA, the health of the league.
Oh, my gosh.
And Zion.
I totally disagree.
That
It'd be
shit-
nice. It'd be nice. It'd be cute.
Yeah, more than cute. It's first things first. Today, Lakers, Pelicans. But now they're underdogs, just by 1 point. Brewer, are you surprised by this?
I'm not surprised. I'm gobsmacked.
Can't start every
I'm
show
utterly
like this.
astounded.
Do it all the time.
No, I'm serious. I'm shocked. Let's count the ways the Lakers should be the favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the two best players on the floor,
Yeah.
without question, LeBron and AD. They beat New Orleans 3 out of 4 times they played this year by an average of 25 points. Plus, they have way more playoff experience. It's not even close. LeBron himself has played 282 playoff games. The Pelicans in total, combined, all of them, 205 playoff games. The Lakers are hot, finishing 11-3. The Pelicans are not, finishing 4-5. And New Orleans is bad in the blender. You know what the blender is?
I don't know what.
Smoothie King Center, the blender. You never heard that?
No,
I know it's.
Just act like I made it up. The blender, they're bad. They are the worst playoff or the worst team of all the top 8 seeds in either conference. 21-19, that's not good. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess they're saying AD, questionable, LeBron, probable.
Well,
who knows?
let me say one other thing they're saying. They're saying that the Lakers might agree with some of my favorite media members and some of my least favorite media members, to be fair. I won't say who's who. Well, I'll say Colin and J-Mac are on the favorite list. That, the Lakers should throw the game. The Lakers don't want to win this game. But you know who I know doesn't think the Lakers should avoid Denver? LeBron James.
Right.
You know who I know? Well, I shouldn't say I know this part, but I have real reason to believe agrees with me that playing them now is better than playing them in a month? LeBron James. And you know who is, to add to Brew's point, they're even hotter than the overall record suggests, because they're 9-1 in their last 10 where LeBron and AD both play.
Right.
You throw out the game that AD played but went out immediately when he got hit in the face. LeBron is playing some of the best basketball of his season as of late. And while Wild said something yesterday, I was like, is that right? When you said he's shooting 30% for the month from 3, but then I realized we're in the very beginnings of April. If we extend that month to and the last game of March, that 30% jumps up to 47%.
No.
So,
really? Well, that's the game
the
he was
9
hot.
of
Yeah.
10 game, exactly.
That's it.
No, but on the season he's 41%. I don't think he's all.
But
of a
I
sudden,
think the smart thing is he hadn't been shooting a ton of threes.
correct, and he's not in the midst of some slump. It's quite different, and he owns this team.
Yeah.
There are certain teams that just, no matter how old LeBron gets, if he's healthy, he can put his head down and get to the rim. And the Pelicans are one of those teams. This year against New Orleans, he's a 55, 60, 90 guy and does everything he wants, scoring and distributing. And then there's one other piece to it, which I think lends itself somewhat to our next conversation, but I think is more relevant to this one right here, which is LeBron has, in my opinion, always taken note of things that matter to the NBA. Whether it's the in-season tournament, right? Whether it is his importance there, and also
Except for the All-Star game.
the All-Star game.
I'm just playing.
And I think once upon a time, when everyone
back
took it
in the day,
seriously,
yeah,
he took
got
it quite
played with.
seriously.
Yeah,
But the point being, he also has taken note on anyone the NBA tries to position as his rival or heir apparent.
Yeah.
And you saw in the 2016 finals when he had the moment with Steph and did the shoulder shrug, like, get out of here, because he was being positioned as a rival.
Yeah.
Zion was, yeah, that is fair, but I'm saying I think he takes it personally, whether it's fair or not. Zion was positioned as not necessarily the next LeBron, but something along those lines.
Future
and
face of
LeBron,
the league,
right?
for sure.
Future face of the league, and LeBron has taken that seriously. So for all of those things, all those reasons, I don't think they should be underdogs. I know they're on the road, but the Lakers have not been a terrible road team since they made the starting lineup change, which is when their season turned around. And they just played a game almost as important on Sunday, and it was never close.
Yeah. If this does turn in the Pelicans' way, and I don't want to give too much credence to the throw of the game theory, Steph has to go all out. It's win or go home.
Right.
If the Pelicans have a nice lead in the fourth quarter, do you think LeBron will be like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the worst thing. We'll live to fight another day. Or do you think he leaves it all on the floor?
I think it probably depends on how big the lead is and how much time is left. There will come a point where if they're down huge, it's like, let's just
sooner
rest.
than usual,
But because the thing is, nowadays with the three-point shot, I mean, you see swings all the time.
Also,
and especially if LeBron gets hot from three, where he can be streaky. So I think they would go for it within reason.
That was the exact situation, if you remember. We had this exact conversation 1 year ago when they were in the 7-8. LeBron was dealing with the foot injury.
Yeah.
And I remember us discussing the worst case scenario for the Lakers, worse than being blown out by Minnesota, would have been a tight loss, or where he plays a ton of minutes.
Overtime,
and if you remember remember that game, they were down double figures in the fourth quarter. They end up. He hits, I think it was Schroeder, someone in the corner, maybe not Schroeder, someone in the corner for a three.
Might have been Schroeder.
And then AD fouls Conley, and it does go to overtime, and the Lakers end up winning. But they were down big in that game against Minnesota, went all out for it to get the extra rest. So to answer your question, even if there is validity to that idea, last year tells us that's not what they would do, that they are going to treat this game as an elimination.
All right, let's dig in on LeBron versus Zion. Not impossible stuff. I mean, he had 12 points. Head-to-head this season, LeBron's got him in everything, basically, except field goal. Oh, no. Yeah, Zion's got field goal percentage, but he's taking everything at the rim. All right, so who's under more pressure tonight, Bron or Zion?
LeBron, without question. And here's why. Because he hadn't done it purposely, but Zion, because of the injuries, somewhat maybe because of his own lifestyle as far as eating and things like that, not being in the best shape, but he has done a great job, I kind of say that facetiously, of lowering the expectations for him now. Like, I was dead serious yesterday.
That's where I was at.
When I said, no, he played 70 games. That's great. That's all I'm expecting at this point.
My goodness gracious.
All right, now, if they win tonight or get to the playoffs, then we can start building up the expectations again for Zion. But let's be honest, we've moved on. All right, he's no longer the new hotness.
That's right.
All right, we moved on to Wemby, to Chet Holmgren, to Ant-Man Edwards.
Paolo.
I mean, we've moved on. Like, he's not the guy where even Ja, obviously, if he, assuming he comes back fine, SGA.
SGA without question.
Yeah, we've moved on as far as the young guys that are going to be the face of the league. Zion is a very good player.
Very good.
But he is also a very limited player. And the reason LeBron, even at this age, can give him problems defensively is because Zion going to the hole.
Yep.
That's it. He's certainly not shooting a three. He's not even shooting a mid-range jump shot. He is going to the bucket, and LeBron's got the size to just kind of stay in front of him. And then when he gets to the rim, you got AD there. So the Lakers pack the paint against them and give him problems. So I was happy this year. I'm not even trying to diss him. I was happy this year. He is a nice playmaker. He handles the ball well. Yeah. They got him at the point a lot of the time. So he's got some strengths. He needs to be a better rebounder, and he's got to continue to work on his jump shot.
Go ahead.
That was all 100% correct, unfortunately. I just have the opposite view of it.
Okay, well, go.
Where it's just disappointing that that the media has overcorrected so much that maybe people were too harsh on him, and there was some mean-spiritedness to the criticism. And now we've taken it the whole other way, where it's like, congratulations, you played 70 games.
But I think
that's it.
But don't you think that's legitimate?
But I think it's 100%. Okay. I just think it's unfortunate, and I have to kind of be the bad guy, I guess, by saying, hey, Zion, it's your moment now. You're up against LeBron James, another number one pick. You're up against AD, who the Pelicans had to start fresh, and you were the beginning of that fresh start. Why don't you have more than 13 shots last game when AD wasn't even on the floor most of the time when you're taking these shots? It's frustrating that the expectations are so low for him.
Oh, so here's maybe I'm splitting the difference here a bit. Obviously, he needs to play better than he did on Sunday. Sunday, he played a very poor game. He played. I think the low point of his season, and maybe the low point of his career, non-injury related, was the in-season tournament game earlier this year against the Lakers when he looked out of shape, out of it. Since that moment,
intensity-wise, too, did you see
in both those instances?
Yes.
But the point I was going to make is the 2 games in between and the breadth and width of his season in between those 2 games, he played really well. He played well in both of the other 2 games, even though
the really good games,
right? And the Pelicans won 1 and lost 1. And I don't have a ballot, but I do the exercise every year of what my All-NBA teams would be. And 13 of the 15 All-NBA spots were pretty obvious who the names were going to be. We can argue about second, third team.
Right.
And then the final 1 or 2 All-NBA spots, there were 8 guys to me that I strongly considered. And I texted Brew to see if he and I were in the same boat. Seems like maybe I was a little higher than you on Zion. But he's going to get All-NBA third-team votes. I don't think he's going to make the team. I bet he shows up on some ballots.
A few votes.
Point being, he had a good season by any realm of expectation. It's not just like, oh, okay, he just played 70 games. Right. He was the best player on a team that had 50, was in the 50-win vicinity, was on a 50-win pace, and he stayed healthy and played well and was a legitimate, I know he didn't make the All-Star team, but played if you named an All-Star team today, I think he would make it. And so if it was based on the full season. And so I think he played really well this year. But the answer is it's always LeBron. LeBron is always under more pressure because he is judged by such different standards and he's chasing a ghost. And so because of that, the answer will, no matter who you're playing, there is more pressure on LeBron James.
And not to get too much on a tangent, when they face Denver, more pressure on Jokic.
I disagree. I disagree.
Because if Jokic loses, it is a huge disappointment and failure.
Okay.
If they're expected to lose, the Lakers.
We can maybe have that argument another day. I just think that that in basically every scenario he's in, he's under the most pressure, but certainly tonight. Because even though they're not the underdog or they're not the favorite, people think they're
absolutely.
I think the public thinks they're the favorite.
I think so. I think Zion thinks they're the favorite. Tomorrow, the game is not tomorrow. He said that yesterday. Just want to make sure he knows when the game is. Brew, are the Warriors on upset alert?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to win, but they could lose. These are really 2 evenly matched teams. This year, they were 2-2 against each other. We know about last year's Game 7 or 7-game series. So it's going to be a good battle. Look, Sacramento, I think a big problem for them is the injuries. Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter. If those 2 were healthy, people might be the favorites. But with those 2 out, I think Golden State, we know they've been in these moments, that's to say the least. So I think the Warriors win, but sure, they got to take this seriously because it's one and done.
And the last 3 games between these teams were 1-point affairs. The Warriors won by 1, and then the Kings won back-to-back games by 1. That series, like you guys just mentioned last year, the key game of the series, Harrison Barnes had a shot, if you remember, to go up 3-1. He missed it, and then it ends up being a Game 7, and it takes the greatest playoff game, arguably, of Steph's life in order for them to end up. Now, they did win by 20, but it was close until Steph really lit fire at the end. I think Sacramento wins.
Wow.
I think Sacramento wins. I think that there is a lot of respect right now, Vegas odds makers understandably, to the history of the Warriors. But I was really bothered, if that's the right word, probably not, by how the Warriors finished the last week of the year when they could have avoided this situation. They are a smart team with smart players. They can project confidence, but they know what we know that we were discussing all year, mostly about the Lakers. The difference between being in the 9-10 part of the bracket and the 7-8 part of the bracket, and what that affords to you as far as margin of error and ability to actually go on a postseason run. We have never seen a team come out of the 9-10 to go on a real run in the postseason. We've only seen one team ever, in the West at least, come out of the 9-10 to even make the postseason. That was the Grizzlies when they beat the Warriors a few years ago.
Small sample size.
No, of course, right, but I think that streak continues, by the way, and so I don't think the Warriors win tonight.
You don't believe in Steph, Brew? Because to me, both of these games, just go back to Pelicans-Lakers, it's the difference between you've got stars and the Lakers have a superstar, and the Kings have stars and the Warriors have a superstar. And when it's superstar time, the superstars show up and drop 50 and send you home.
I believe in Steph, obviously, but and even you talk about the way they ended the week when they lost that game that was critical.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen in a one game in the NBA. I don't care who your superstar is. That's why they play 7-game series, so that they generally get the best team.
If you treat this like a Game 7, you think Steph is
I think when you're a shooter, even the best we've ever seen,
right?
You can be off.
You can't. That's how Steph
and their
can
team
go.
with Clay and the rest of them, they can be off.
I'm not taking a shot at Steph, but I mean Steph had a bad game in the biggest game of his life.
Yeah,
which is a thing you don't typically see from an apex top 10 all-time guy in a huge spot.
But when that guy is a shooter.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Because
he can't
like
just
put his head down and be like, you know what, I'm just going
to.
And I think there is also, I think De'Aaron Fox, I know I'm the only person outside of Sacramento that remembers the broken finger, but I think Fox feels like they let one go. And I know Sabonis remembers getting his chest stomped on.
Probably.
And so in
That'll
Sabonis,
be interesting to see
how he responds, because Fox lit up the Warriors all year, 32-5-5. Sabonis averaged a triple-double against them. And there's real bad blood there.
Yeah.
And so I think I like the Kings.
You obviously
I'll be honestly, sometimes I have to really work for a take and try to find my corner because you guys have such good coaching analysis.
Yeah.
And sometimes Steph Curry just drops right here. Take Steph, Wilds. I'm like, will do. See you tomorrow. There's an easy W for Wilds tomorrow. Okay, right. Wow, you guys are like, wow, you know what, Wilds? We should have probably the generational top 10 player of all time. Probably should have believed in him. Sorry about that. Looking ahead, if the Warriors lose, which we don't expect them, I don't expect them to, season's over. Here's a look at the numbers of a trio that has a bunch of championships and has defined a generation, 720 games, 719, well, also 72% winning percentage. 6th most wins by a trio all time, almost 14,000 minutes on the court. So, Nick, what's on the line for the Warriors' big three if it goes south?
If they lose tonight, I think it's their last game together. I'm gonna read you something, then I'll tell you who said it. Plan 1 or 1A. Get out of the tax.
Yep.
I'm not talking about just get beneath the second apron. Get out of the tax.
Entirely, he wants out?
Entirely. That quote is from Joe Lacob a couple months ago, and in his defense, there's a real reason for it. They
were the most expensive team ever this year.
Right, but there's also, so this year they paid $177 million in luxury tax, and nobody watching cares or should care about luxury tax, but you should care if, in order to avoid it, a team's not going to stay together. Mm-hmm. In his quote, he talks about the real penalties, not being able to, once you're in the tax that many years in a row, what it restricts you from being able to do roster building wise. So if they want to get out of the tax, they can't bring back Klay Thompson unless he takes the Russell Westbrook Clippers deal. You know, if they can get beneath the apron and bring him back, but if they want to get out of the tax, they need him to basically be playing on close to the minimum, which I don't see as being realistic. So because of that, I think tonight is the last night of what, and I want your take on this, Brew, is the 4th best dynasty ever. I give you my list right there. Russell Celtics, Jordan's Bulls, Kareem and Magic's Lakers, Steph, Clay, and Draymond's Warriors, and Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. But what's so unique about it is this. The last game of Russell's Celtics was a finals victory, and then he retired. The last game of Jordan's Bulls was a finals victory, and then he retired. The last game of Kareem and Magic's Lakers was a finals loss going for a three-peat, and then Kareem retired. The last game of Shaq and Kobe's Lakers was a finals loss, and then Shaq got traded. This would be really like out with a whimper. You know what I mean? For the last time they play together to be in a game that won't even show up on Basketball Reference in the future because the play-in doesn't count.
Right. You can't find it. Play-ins disappeared.
I mean, it's like, what was the last game Steph and Clay played together? Nobody knows. There's no archive. And so I think it's the end of it tonight. I think it's the end of it.
It's a good list. It's hard to disagree with that list. I'm not so sure now.
Wow.
If they lose, look, Chris Paul won't, now unless he comes back at the minimum essentially, but his contract's not guaranteed. That's $30 million. Clay, it's going to depend on who else is looking at Clay, because he's certainly going to take a big pay cut. Mm-hmm. And does he want to stay with the Warriors at a lot less money? Is somebody else that's in contention? I don't see him just going somewhere just to make money. All right, now if it's a team in contention, Orlando's building, so maybe something
Orlando's
like
better
that
than
might.
the Warriors.
I wouldn't go. No, I don't think so. I don't think they're better than the Warriors. And here's what. Remember, in the East, you're playing a much easier schedule than in the West. These Warriors, and I keep saying it. Nobody keeps believing me. 5th best record in the league since the All-Star break. I think they're looking at it like, okay, we've got
No, he's saying he believes you. That's why he's picking.
Oh,
them
you
tonight.
do believe?
No,
but are you
okay.
picking them tonight?
Yes.
He said that.
I picked them. I just said, they're on upset alert, but I'm picking them.
Oh,
it's going to be a tough game. I wouldn't be shocked
but you still
if they
have
lose.
them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if they lose, I think they might look at. They got to chop. I would shop Andrew Wiggins. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to trade him. He's got 3 years left, I think, at about $30 million a year, close to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could trade him, but I would shop him. I think they're saying, look, Steph is at a top level. Draymond's still playing well. Clay came around and is playing well. If we can get him at the right price. And then the young guy, like for all we've mocked trying to grow the old guys and the young guys, their young guys are Kuminga's finally come around.
And they're 2 draft picks this year.
Trace Jackson Davis, like the young guys are playing well. They need to go out, like I've been saying for probably 2 years, get some size. It don't have to be great size.
But they don't have money for any of this.
But it doesn't have to be great size.
I know.
It wasn't great size when they had their dynasty. It was Andrew Bogut and Festus Ezeli. Yep. Get some size, though, and I think they might say, we can still make the run. But you're right. I know financially that's going to be a big issue.
Dusty, where do we got Zach Edey going? He moved himself into the lottery?
I think.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.